Welcome to Hearty Gentlemen, episode 15, with the one, the only, Darren Austin Hall. Not Darren Hall, not Darren, not Mr. Hall, but Darren Austin Hall. He is a sound bathing shaman type. I don't really know how to describe him, but he's definitely a very positive person to be around. He plays sound bathing music for people in sound bathing meditation, which is what the original reason I wanted to bring him on. But he also runs his own sacred masculinity groups and helps men feel comfortable in their own skin. One of my most favorite people on this planet. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you do too, on episode 15 of The Hearty Gentleman. So today, today on The Hearty Gentleman, I, Jordan Boxer, am blessed to be sitting with the one and the only Darren Austin Hall. And Darren is a very unique fellow. He has his own type of music. I've never seen anyone else do it the way that you do it, but it's sound bathing, shamanic music.
It's shamanic.
Shamanic.
No, I don't.
Shamanic, tomato. But shamanic. My friend who might listen to this, he gets mad at me all the time because I'm like, shaman. He goes, it's shaman. I know. And I'm like, fine. So, yeah, you got your own unique style. I went to your, it was like a meditative healing CD release party all at once. And it was really, really cool. And you're able to entrance many people at the same time and put them into different states, it seems. So was that a good enough intro? Oh.
Did you hear a question? I could have swore he's asking you a question.
I like the entrancing part.
He's entrancing
cool.
people.
I am entrancing.
Okay, well,
sound like I'm a cult leader or something.
Yeah.
The whole shamanic healing thing's a front.
It is.
Yeah.
You're just Bhagwan in disguise.
Yeah. Wait, who's Bhagwan?
Osho.
Oh.
Do you remember that? Did you see the documentary yet?
We can't go there. I have friends who love that guy.
But have you seen Wild Wild Country?
I've seen a bit of it. Yeah. But I knew already about Osho.
But his name is Bhagwan, which means
right,
God
right.
or godlike, or
Right.
And it's not Wagwan. Wagwan? No, it's Bhagwan. But yeah, so why don't you tell us a little bit about?
Back up from the mic. Let's try it for one episode.
Okay, I'll sit here. So, is this good?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, shamanic music, the music of the shamans. Shamans? Now I don't know which one's right. So,
we're not gonna go with this intro, are we?
Yeah. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening to Hearty Gentlemen. And next episode, no. So, tell us a little bit about what your music style is. I don't think most people know what sound bathing is.
Yeah, no, they don't. I mean, sound bathing. We usually just call it like the sound bath. Sound bathing is nice too, though, I guess. It's really hit mainstream. I mean, New York Times was writing about it. Do you know Sigur Rós, the Icelandic band? You know Sigur Rós?
No.
Do you know Sigur Rós? Amazing band from Iceland. Anyways, they're huge. They sell millions of copies of albums. They're doing sound baths now.
In their concerts?
I think they're doing a whole like art installation thing, but it's huge to see artists on that level also starting to get into this, basically using sound not just for entertainment but for creating an atmosphere of healing vibrations for people to dive deep into meditation, peace, and transformation. Because frankly, music is probably one of the most in my opinion, it's the most transformative and immediate art. You know, in that sense, because you hear music, instantly it's working on you. And so for me, I mean, it's been a long journey. You know, I don't know if you want me to go back to like the whole childhood.
Let's go back. Back in time. What's that song? Let's go back. Back in time.
So, yeah, I mean, it's good for me to demystify this because, you know, I've taken flack for calling myself a shamanic musician, you know, because I think there's justifiability to that in the sense that, you know, we want to be careful with our words, especially white people, because we've, you know, co-opted a lot of stuff. We've colonized the world, and you know, there's a really awkward thing there. But and you know, frankly, there's been a lot of colonization of shamanic cultures. You know, and when they came to to this country, Turtle Island, that's the first thing they did is they take out the medicine people, the shamans, you know, because they're the leaders of the culture. You take
Is
them out
Turtle Island what Canada was called?
Yeah, that's what it was called by the Native Americans. Still to this day, it's called that. Hopefully one day it'll be called that again, I think. Hopefully. But can get into that too, because I've done a lot of work with First Nations people.
Oh, cool.
That's a huge part of my life that I hope to amplify. But yeah, the reason I call myself a shamanic musician, I don't call myself a shaman. I'm not really comfortable with that, but I believe when I'm making my music that I'm really tapping into the spirit of what shamanism is, and that's been sort of acknowledged by other shamans. That's the only reason that I kind of feel comfortable wearing that title, if you will, because I wouldn't have come that to myself. I think that's kind of privileged and weird, but you know, when I was a kid, and I think this goes for most musicians, most artists, most humans probably. When we're kids, we're all eccentric, you know, we're all doing weird things. And in traditional cultures, you know, the elders would be observing the children to look for what are those weird, unique things that we're doing, which are what they would call our gifts or even our medicine. In some lexicons, they call it that. And they look for that, and then they want to cultivate that because they regard that every human being is born with a medicine, a gift, and the giving of that gift is the greatest fulfillment of our life. And if we don't figure out what our gift is, we don't give it, we're going to be suffering in our life. And the tragedy of a lot of modern life is I think a lot of people haven't found what their gift is, because in our culture, you know, it's like we're putting these cookie cutter kind of avenues of get a job. It's not about what you love. Just do what you do to make money and yada, yada, yada. So when I was a kid, music was I just heard music all the time. And probably most musicians have this experience, you know, not really uninhibited when they're kids and there's no filter yet, no conditioning. And I was just this open conduit, hearing music all the time, and I would be singing constantly. And when I would go to sleep at night, because I was alone in my bedroom, you know, this music was all of a sudden super loud. And I would literally just surrender to it. And I'd be like banging my head against a pillow and keeping rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and I would
right,
just sing for sometimes hours. I'd be going into bliss states. I'd be hearing symphonies, songs. I mean, it probably sounded awful. and I remember actually my parents like running into the room at certain points, like, what are you doing? Like, you're going to hurt your brain. You know, because I was just banging my head. I just flatten teddy bears, just like make them into pancakes. But it was the greatest joy. It was like, I'd feel so beautiful when I was doing this. And this went on from pretty much as young as I can remember till I was about, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 years old, until I went to stayover camp, you know. So all of a sudden I'm in like a cabin with 7 other boys away from home. And I'm like, fuck, I can't do this anymore. You know, I'm going to keep them up. But, you know, there were some mornings where I'd wake up, you know, bang my head against my pillow, singing these songs. And the kids would just be like, what the heck is Darren doing? You know, so I was ostracized. That was the first time I felt ashamed about it. And so up until that point, my parents, obviously, they were beautifully tolerant. You know, they didn't shame me. They didn't say I was like something wrong with me. I think the only thing I heard was like, maybe one day you're going to grow out of this. And so they tried to put me on certain conventional, you know, laneways. Like I took piano lessons. I was singing in choirs. But frankly, I hated, you know, learning piano in the way that we teach it. You know, it's like, here's a sheet of music, memorize it, and just regurgitate it. That was just so boring to me. So I loathed piano lessons. But what I loved doing is being at home and just fiddling around with the keys. And when my legs were long enough to hit that reverb pedal, man, it was like I was like a mini Brian Eno just tinkering away. And I would do that for hours, and that was like my greatest joy. And then basically when that thing happened at camp, and I started becoming more self-conscious as a teenager, I started to think, you know what, maybe this is weird. Maybe I should stop doing this. So I slowly started to like shut it down, and it was hard. You know, it was a hard thing, because that was a great, joyful thing that I was doing. But eventually I stopped doing it, and then, you know, I did more conventional musical things. Like I think most dudes at some point pick up a guitar thinking they can get chicks, right? So I started playing guitar when I was like 16, and then
Did it work?
No, not really. I was super awkward. I was at an all-boys private school for years, so that kind of stunted my...
There's no women there to...
No, God, no. I was super awkward for a while. It took me a while to really figure that one out. But, you know, I had a knack for writing lyrics. I was always a writer, so I became a bit of a singer-songwriter. But again, when I get up and stage in front of open mic, I would freeze. I didn't... Which is normal, but there was even something deeper. I just didn't like the idea of like taking a composition and then doing it again, like rehearsing it. But when I was jamming and just like making lyrics up and following music, I was in my element.
Mm.
But I didn't really know what I was doing. I just thought it was just some weird eccentric thing, you know, that maybe it's a bit jazzy. I had really no idea. So it wasn't until I was actually studying Chinese medicine in my later 20s, after I had a spiritual awakening and I went to China, actually lived there for 3 years. Can get into that. That's a whole other rabbit hole. But then when I came back to Toronto, this is when I was about 26, I decided to study Chinese medicine. I did that for 3 years. But while I was studying Chinese medicine, I actually dropped out for a semester because it's like when you study medicine, it's like full on. Like you just have no time to be creative. And I want to write. I want to make music. Dropped out, went to see an astrologer for the first time in my life. Kind of confused, like, should I be doing Chinese medicine? I mean, this is a huge tradition I'm stepping into. And she said, oh yeah, I could see on your chart why you were supposed to drop out, and you should be a sound healer. That's actually your destiny. And I was like,
That was on your chart?
that's what she saw.
Is
And I
that the one
was
where you
like,
got to give like your birth time?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And she zeroed in. I mean, I think now it's like something to do with the sign Taurus. The Taurus is really into like communication and vibration. And sound healer, I was like, what is that? I'd never even heard sound and healing combined as a word. And I said, what is that? What do I do with that? She said, just Google it. That was literally her advice. Just Google it. So I went home and I typed into Google, and it was, literally like turning the ignition key on the Millennium Falcon, man. It was like hyper speed. Like I stayed up like for hours that night just studying all this stuff because it was so fascinating. What was most fascinating was sound healing is literally a paradigm where science and spirituality are merging, because physics, vibration, it's amazing. So I was simply ecstatic. And, in Chinese medicine, the Taoists, which is like the old Taoism kind of tradition, their whole view is that everyone, again, the whole medicine idea of following your gift, the best way to fulfill your health and your life is to follow your destiny. And so my mentor, his whole teaching in Chinese medicine was, he wrote a book called Nourishing Destiny. And they say that when you follow your destiny, the universe will start to give you signs. And those signs will be through meaningful coincidences, synchronicities. So 3 days after like that Google thing, and I'm like teeming with all this like excitement, I get invited to go and see a dude. It was the winter solstice, to go and see a dude play wine glasses with his fingers in a church in Hamilton. By a friend, a really close friend who I really trust. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I'm not doing anything for winter solstice. That sounds cool. Let's go do it. So we go, and it's this dude, David Hickey, who's this amazing guy who plays the gongs and the bowls. And I get to see, while I'm really open up to sound healing, this guy playing music as a healing experience, playing all this amazing celestial instruments. And I literally was like weeping during the performance because I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. Oh my God, this is it. This is like Atlantean. He was like an Atlantean priest, like making music. It was like the sound of the cosmos. It just blew my mind. So, I saved up enough money with a little help from my grandma. And then a year later, I just dove in and bought a set of these crystal singing bowls, 7 of them. And then didn't know really what to do with them. I just started working with them. And then that singing that I was doing as a kid, that kind of channeled singing, the final piece of this story is, at the time I took a 2-year intensive at my school, Institute of Traditional Medicine in Toronto, because they're Chinese medicine, but they also have all these amazing shamanic teachers that they're in touch with globally. So they had this guy called Dr. Bradford Keeney come in from America. He's known as the American Shaman. He does this like shaking medicine, ecstatic movement thing. And he's telling us about how he was initiated as a shaman in the Kalahari Desert and with the San Bush people. So I don't know if you've seen the movie Gods Must Be Crazy.
Yeah.
Those are the San Bush people, right? They're like, they speak like and all these clicks and pops. And so he literally like worked with them for 10 years, not as like some fly on the wall anthropologist. Like the minute he showed up, apparently like they looked at him and said, "You're one of us. We're going to initiate you." And he like literally.
What language are they speaking?
That's a good question. I don't know how. I think there was a translator involved maybe, but
I always find that, yeah.
That's true, yeah. But either way, he was like fully accepted, and he went deep. And I mean, Bradford, if you ever meet him, he's a wild dude, like really wild. And he's all into like shaking and being ecstatic. And so he's telling us this story about, in their culture, the shaman is known as the song catcher. And they say that they go into an altered state, some kind of enhanced state, banging a drum, which entrains your brainwaves, brings you into a trance-like state. And then they say they enter into this altered dimension, like a higher dimension, where they witness all these ropes of light all over the place, which is interesting because in quantum physics, they actually say the universe is architected by superstrings of light on a certain dimension.
Like
so
the Matrix almost.
Yeah, so you see this correlation actually, they call it Indra's web in yoga. Like, it's amazing to witness how universal our understanding is becoming of these things. And this song catcher will literally like connect to one of these ropes, grab it, and the minute they grab it, there's all these songs like zipping along these lines. They call it like the spiritual internet. And they say all these spiritual entities, extraterrestrials, angels, they literally sing into these ropes, and they carry these songs, and the songs carry wisdom and information because vibration is actually informational. And they'll catch this song, and then the shaman will start to sing the song, and the villagers will start to surround the shaman. They'll start to sing the song too, and the song carries a certain frequency that provides healing. And then they go into these like rousing states of dancing and singing together. And so Bradford's telling me this, and my ears start to perk up because I'm like, all of a sudden remembering all the stuff I was doing as a kid. So I kind of gingerly put up my hand, and I tell Bradford what I was doing as a kid. You know, like, wow, like this is what I was doing as a kid too. You know, I think. And Bradford, super like charismatic dude, on fire all the time. He jumps up in the air, and he's got this beautiful Louisiana drawl, and he points at me and he says, "We've got a live one here." And dude, that was a moment of just like, you know, they like, I do work with men with the archetypes. They say when the king archetype is supposed to bless the young men, you know, and acknowledge their gift. And we're starved of that. And this elder man looks at me and points at me and says, "That's basically your gift." And I tell you, man, I felt like lightning through my spine. It was like, whoa. And then I started going home and just working with these bulls and allowing that free singing to come back. And then I started to perform, and people just started having crazy experiences.
Yeah. when I was like, I felt like I almost left my body when you were doing the sound healing.
Right, yeah.
Like I woke out of it like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was shook out of this thing.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was high,
yeah.
and I'm like, I'm just sitting here listening to you playing bowls.
Yeah. That's a common experience. So interestingly, crystal singing bowls, they resonate with our bodies because crystal, like our bone and blood cells, are crystalline in structure. They look very much like harmonic crystals. And so when the bowls are being played through this process of what's known as resonance, which means when one frequency and another frequency are kind of the same frequency family, they'll start to vibrate together, you know? So like there's these ancient, or not even ancient tales, in the 1950s, there was like winds. There was winds that would hit bridges, and there was this famous case, I can't remember the case, but the sound of the wind started to resonate with the frequency of the material of the bridge, like the steel, and it literally broke the bridge just by the sound frequency.
Well, yeah, right? Like glasses can do that too.
Yeah, exactly. Opera singers can break glass. So when the crystal bowls are being played, literally they start to vibrate your bone and your blood. And I mean, this is a bit theoretical, and what I think is happening is it's literally like you're dematerializing, right? Because when your matter starts to vibrate, you're losing the solidity. So it's probably the most common thing I hear from people when they get an experience of the crystal bowls in a sound bath is they feel like their body's melting away and that they go out of body. And it's always a good experience. I've never had someone be like, "It was freaky."
Yeah, it was calming. Yeah,
it's very calming because it's a very naturally inducing kind of resonance. So that's cool. I'm glad you had that.
I wish the place was like, it was like a sauna that night. I don't know if you remember.
It was super hot. I know.
But it was yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it again, man. I do sound baths all the time.
So this guy points at you. Right. Lightning bolt. You bought these sound bowls that you and your grandmother were able to get?
Yeah. So I had them at home at that time. So I just started going home and started singing in that way. And then I started doing more and more public performances of the bowls and started to sing in that fashion. And people just started having these incredible experiences. And I started to realize also that I had a responsibility with this voice too, because I was invited at some point actually to play at a bar, which was really random. And it was actually a spiritual networking event, but it was at a bar. So it was really weird. So there's people drinking alcohol and stuff. And they bring me in just to sing an invocation, which is just like, I'm going to invoke energy, you know, with a channeled song. So I have one bowl in my hand, and I start getting it going, and I just open my voice and I start singing this wordless song. And when I'm in that zone, I'm literally like trying to key into like spiritual energy. Sometimes like spirits come in, like I feel myself being possessed, you know, in a way, and it can be really, really powerful.
Do you ever get freaked out with that?
Never freaked out. It's always, you know, when I perform, there's a lot of prayer that goes into play at the beginning because I want to set the scene and I want to connect to good stuff. Like I really take my time with it to make sure that there's like an atmosphere that's been created. So if you ever see my setup, I have like a First Nations little prayer mat. I have all these crystals. I have my father's rosary. Like I really connect to all those objects before I perform, and then I do a prayer to connect to like sacred spiritual energy to be in like a really clear vessel. And so at this bar, I was singing, and I could just really feel this strong current of spiritual energy come through. And within like 10 seconds of me singing, I just release like one note. This woman faints and hits the ground right in front of me. So I'm like singing, where I'm like, "Hurr," and then this woman hits. I'm like, "Hurr, hurr, hurr," and I'm like trying to look at people like, "Is she okay? Like, should I stop?" People attend to her quickly, and then they look up at me and they're like, "It's okay. It's just keep doing what you're doing." I'm like, "Hurr," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll just keep doing this thing." So, you know, I do my thing for like 5 minutes, and then immediately like I go right to her, and I'm like, "Are you okay? Like, what happened?" And she was just exasperated. She said, "What were you singing? What were you singing? What were you singing?" And I was like, "Well, I was just opening my voice as a channel. You know, I was just allowing songs to be sung through me in a kind of spiritual way." And she said, "Well, you know, I'm Persian, and the song you sang, like I felt like I was hit by lightning, and I just had these memories of my Middle Eastern ancestors, like hit me, and it was like too much, and I like, you know, fainted." And I was like, "Whoa, that is powerful." And a part of me felt like, you know, the alcohol, she had a bit of alcohol, may have made her a little unstable, because I mean she could have smacked her head, right?
Yeah.
Luckily she didn't. So after that I was kind of like, I'm gonna be careful, you know, where I play, and it made me like take a step back and make sure that, you know, when I perform, like it's coming from the right place and all of that.
Yeah. Do you know why spirits are called spirits?
Why are spirits called spirits?
I was told like they were given the name spirit because when you drink alcohol, you allow low-level energies to come inside you,
Oh really?
and it changes your personality.
See, I was also told though, back in the day, certain alcohols had, like absinthe, for example, wormwood, they had like really good herbs in them, and that it wasn't necessarily bad spirits. Like good spirits could actually happen too.
Yeah, I'm sure there's. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's both, right?
Yeah.
But you see people get drunk, and
Well, the alcohol that we have nowadays is like filled with sugar and God knows what else. But yeah, I mean, obviously, when people get drunk, they get possessed. It's crazy, man.
yeah,
Your lower self comes into play
Yeah,
when you start drinking alcohol.
absolutely.
yeah. I used to work in nightclubs and bars for like 7 years. I saw
Oof,
what it did to people all the time.
it's awful. It's awful.
I worked as a security guard for like a month, and I was like, "This is crazy."
Oof.
Like people are insane.
Yeah.
Did you ever take
man.
that the blue light bus, blue night bus?
Oh yeah.
On Young Street at night.
Oh my! The vomit comet, dude.
Yes, I haven't taken that in
Ooh,
forever.
I've actually literally seen a person vomit on the thing. It's
When's the last time? I haven't taken that bus in probably a decade.
Oh yeah, me too.
I feel Toronto's different now.
You know what? I remember my friend told me about this. He was an older guy. He's like, "The vomit comet? You don't know what the vomit comet?" Because I really wanted to do a show for YouTube. He's like, "You should just get a camera and just go on that bus." He's like, "Just ride that bus for like."
Is it still
4
around?
hours."
Oh man,
Is it still around?
That'd be sad though. It's sad. You see some. I mean, it would be interesting to do as like a one episode thing, because
Still thinking about it.
you'd have some
Let's do it.
fascinating conversations.
I'll just come to watch,
My God.
Jordan there, that
and,
Yeah, you'd
and
have to
Darren
have,
will
like-
come. Darren will come.
No man, I wouldn't want my bull around there. You need security detail. You need at least one guy who's just ready to ninja.
We need Trump's level of
'Cause-
security.
Yeah, maybe.
So, so now I guess for work, like your career,
Yeah.
you're singing songs. Do you
Singing
do like
songs.
one-on-one healings for people?
Yeah. I do one-on-one healings, and I do train. I train people now. I've developed a training called Source Resonance.
Can anyone learn to do this, or is it something that you're born with that gift that you were talking about?
So this song channeling thing. So interesting thing about that. The ancients called it speaking in tongues. And if you look at a lot of ancient cultures, they all have this kind of idea that music was an improvised art back in the day. You know, like I have a sitar friend, Ram, and he said like the legend goes that in ancient India, these mystic musicians just wander around and they didn't compose anything; they just channel songs. And in fact, the word music means the art of the muses, right? And in ancient Greece, the muses were these 9 spiritual entities. They were personified as the 9 daughters of Zeus and this goddess Mnemosyne of memory. And they presided over the different arts and sciences. So there's one for a muse for astronomy, a muse for music, a muse for yeti. But they said that music is like the essential art of the muses. And they would literally, in the ancient world, all art was seen as a transmission from these spiritual beings, these muses, through the human being into the world. So all the artists in ancient Greece apparently would have an altar to the muses because they regarded this isn't stuff that they're authoring. And this is why I think it's got mucked up in our world now, because people are like, I am Kanye West. This is my music, or I'm so-and-so. And people get so attached to what they're doing, right? And I think that kind of takes away of that kind of more sacred element of what creativity really is, which is more bringing forth, And this is why, the sacred musician, and I've written about this as an archetype, a lot of musicians are starting to see what myself and other people are doing in this kind of channeling work, and they're like, man, I want to do that. I want to create a ceremony when I perform. I don't want to just play at a bar. I want people to actually sit down and like really experience my music, because we live in a world of such consumption where most music's on in the background. Like, when was the last time someone listened to an album back to front? Like, damn. But like
Drake's. I think a lot of people are listening to Drake's new album, but yeah.
Yeah, but like that's like musicians who like musicians are like spiritual sages, some of them, and like when you listen to like a really great album back to front, like it can really transform your life if you really let that in.
Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam, that one album, Black.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's 10.
10.
Song,
that's
yeah.
I took
absolutely
4 tabs of acid and I listened to ASAP Rocky.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's this rapper, but he's like a younger guy. But it just the way that because he just took LSD, so
right.
all his music was like influenced
psychedelic.
That way.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think like his single was called LSD or something. Love, Sex, Dreams.
So what was that like?
It was crazy. It was a weird world because like he had just got influenced by it, so it was showing through in his music. And if you watch his music video, it was inspired by that movie Enter the Void. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah. Is it the skateboard or?
I forget what it's called. Something about the void.
Okay.
This guy takes like DMT and he goes nuts.
Okay.
But it's like based on that stuff. Like it was just a very weird experience listening to that album from front to back, which I don't usually do at all. But I was like high as fuck, so I couldn't not do that.
So it really gripped you. That's a good sign. Like he was doing something.
It made me want to start like doing more video stuff. Like because I got such visuals from it.
Nice.
That I'm like I have to make films.
See if musicians knew this about their power, this is why it's so.
And we don't understand the power of it yet.
I know, and that's the sad thing. A lot of musicians don't get paid well, and they have low self-esteem about their art and stuff, and like, but in like more of the ancient world, like musicians held very high, like they were very valuable. And even when you look at like classical composers like Mozart was a Rosicrucian man. He was like initiated into secret societies, and like his music was made to literally like initiate people into higher states of consciousness. Like I've been told that when Beethoven started playing his symphonies, it was Victorian era, right? So everyone was very rigid. They were like these corsets and they had these wigs on. They had all this lead makeup. And he literally started, he was like a maniac. He was like heavy metal at that time.
Yeah.
If you listen to his music, the chord, like changing from adagio to allegro. And he had these really interesting chordal structures that had never been heard before. And apparently the legend goes, when people were hearing him live, they would go into spontaneous fits of shaking and ecstasy because they couldn't take those vibrations. They were so concerned. He was liberating their souls.
It's crazy how
it's amazing.
I think about this often. Like, I can't listen to trap, right? And like my parents couldn't listen to System of a Down,
right?
And like we just
old, eh?
No, but it's like
it's so funny.
How so like funny. Every generation, like Beethoven's whatever, but it's like to us I'd be like, yeah. Sure, it's not really heavy metal like Lamb of God's heavy metal, but it's like each generation, like we're changing almost to reception of frequency.
Totally, dude.
Alan Watts talked about it a lot, actually. He said that music was like, there's a great clip of him. There's like, that music is the most, it puts you into the present moment.
It's the most immediate art, man.
That's
The
true.
minute you hear music, you start to feel.
Yeah.
And that's deep shit right there. And that's because music is vibration and we are vibration. And this is why sound healing blows my mind, because it's basically helping to create this mystical scientific understanding, right? Because quantum physics has made us aware everything is energy in the universe. So music is literally just the sound of energy. That's what frequency is. Anything that's vibrating is making sound. So when we hear music, it speaks to the soul, which is that field of energy that we are. You know, like shamans say when they see us in the higher realms, we look like little elliptical eggs of colored light. That's what we actually look like on a central level. That's our soul.
Like Taurids.
Yeah, basically. So when you hear music, and this is why sound has the ability to heal like anything, and they're even healing cancer with sound. Because if you are made of vibration, when you're sick or you're ill, like you're just out of tune, you know, so you just have to find the right frequency, and or you can actually bombard like cancerous tumors with frequencies that will just break them up. Just like the bridge with the sound, the resonant frequency.
Makes sense.
I wonder what the
It
health
does make
effects
sense,
are of like all this new music.
Like you're shocked.
That's a good question, you know, and there's I can't remember his name, but there's this like rapper who became a professor. It's not Chuck D, and he literally does lectures all over America about how there's satanic chordal changes in modern rap music, and it's all. I mean, there's this whole conspiracy, right? That gangster rap was created by like this kind of conspiracy Illuminati people to keep black people down, right? Because like at the time, like there's the Black Panther movement, and then like there's a real rising of black power, and then in the 80s they were like, first of all they were like, we gotta keep black people down, so they made, you know, marijuana a class 1 drug, you know, because there's a lot in black culture. Marijuana is much loved by Rastafari and stuff like that. Second thing they did is they made all these prisons, and they're like, we gotta, you know, prisons are a business in America, right? And there's literally, I read this conspiracy article, and it was like anonymous, you know, so who knows, but the guy basically said he was big in the record industry in the 80s, and he went to this meeting, and basically these like I think it was like white dudes, and they were basically like saying that they were going to create this gangster rap, and they had all these prisons, and they were basically going to like work together to make all this fucking money, and they're basically going to like keep black people down, like sell them on like these thugs and like these really poor role models to keep them like really at this low vibration of energy. And this guy like was like, this is fucked, like this is crazy, and then he left. And then a couple years later, he just sees it becomes this huge scene, this big trend. He's like, "Oh my god, this is diabolical."
And look,
This is
how do
like
you feel when you
design.
listen to most of that music? You don't feel calm.
Well, exactly. And if you hear the frequencies, they're like all these dissonant chordal changes, like it's like it is kind of demonic. Like you hear it, and it just puts you into this. It just puts you into this really dark state. And now there's nothing wrong with darkness. Darkness can be good every now and again.
Do you know what it's called?
Like
the new form?
what?
Called trap.
Trap. It's a trap. Whoa.
Trap music.
It's a trap.
I didn't even think of that.
Really called trap.
I didn't think about that either. That's cool.
So far.
But I mean, before you're gonna play like, you know, a basketball game or something, and you're like getting your warrior on, like, hey, you might want to listen to something like that. You want to destroy the opponents, but there's something else going on in our society with that music, and not only rap music, man.
I know.
I mean, look at pop culture. Look at the videos. Look at Katy Perry. Look at Miley Cyrus. I mean, Katy Perry's new album, her first single was literally her being eaten on a table by these dudes. Yeah, by these dudes in suits. Like that is
Wait, what?
messed up. Yeah. And in Justin Timberlake's new video, Supplies, there's like a big Illuminati like.
And then there was
pyramid.
Beyonce with the.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's there's something going on. There's something going on there for sure.
Well, yeah, like music. Like I'm stuck in when it comes to rock. I'm stuck in classic rock. I can't listen to new rock anymore.
Oh, okay. See, so when I do my source residence training, it's a 10-week program over almost 3 months. Every week I send them a message, and in that message there's a video, some tidbits, a practice, and I send them a song. And basically I choose 10 different songs from like Tibetan traditional music to like Middle Ages choral music to like electronic music. And I try and really expand people's palette, because right now we have the ability to go online and listen to like so much music, man. Have you ever listened to Tibetan music?
Yeah, I have like a.
Ooh, dude.
I have this like really good C sharp heart chakra Tibetan song.
But have you heard like the monk?
Yeah, that's
orchestra
what
music,
I think. That's
when they're
what.
chanting and like, and the song will be called like a prayer to compassion, and you think it's gonna be like a flute and like really nice, and it's literally like an exorcism. They're literally like clearing negative spirits so that compassion can just naturally rise. It's like clangs of. It doesn't even sound like music.
No, so you got to send me some
It's
of that.
crazy, dude. It's intense too. It's intense, and the Tibetans apparently built their temples using sound. Like they were literally
Yeah, I heard that,
levitating
yeah.
rocks, and I mean, we still don't know how we built the Egyptian pyramids, man. Like that shit's insane. And the new theory is they were using acoustic.
Well, if it's
technology.
physically possible, if we are all vibration, I'm not a physicist, but Sam Harris says this a lot. He's like, if something's physically possible, it will happen.
Right.
It can happen. It's going to happen. So if it's physically possible that we are all vibration and you can change the frequency and the weight, who knows? Maybe.
Oh man, I mean, to me, we are on the verge of a golden age, and to me, the sign of a golden age is when science and mysticism start to
Merge.
confirm each other. Yeah.
Tesla was all like, Tesla said all the info was downloaded to me.
Yeah. And he was really into the Vedic wisdom of the ancient
Yeah,
Indians. And yeah, I mean, yeah.
I feel we're like this though. I feel like there's this like two poles, and we got to spin one way or we got to spin the other way. Like I don't think we're there yet where we're gonna spin
We're
up.
not there yet, but it's happening fast. I do believe we've hit a critical mass. We're in that like exponential, like explosive growth upwards right now.
Yeah, because even regular people, but I mean like your average person's doing mindfulness and
Totally, dude.
meditating.
I have a
and
whole career now. Like,
playing sound bowls.
I used to like have to bartend on the side and like do catering jobs, but now I'm like fully like thriving because people are hungry and people want this stuff, and
They want to
it's
feel
amazing.
that mysticism, the magic.
They want to be, yeah, and there's a deeper calling as well. Like we're literally midwifing a new world right now. Literally, the calling is huge. Like we have never had this much freedom, this much creative freedom. And there's a lot of epic changes happening in the world, like really, really good stuff. There's a lot of peace in the world. A lot of people, think we live in this chaotic time. But if you look, like there's a lot of peace happening. There's a lot of technologies that are coming out.
Marijuana's legal.
Marijuana's legal. Conscious people are doing, like, the thing that gets me excited is that things like ayahuasca and all these entheogens and psychedelics, like billionaires and the elites are also doing those. Like I know personally people who are doing those things.
What's happening now is that people who aren't billionaires and successful are doing them now. Because the successful people have always been doing these things.
Oh, that's an interesting take.
Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. LSD when it first came out.
Right,
like,
right.
Successful people.
John Lennon.
Yeah.
Like Mad Men has this great scene. I know Mad Men's not historically accurate, but the guy who owns the ad agency, Roger Sterling, and his wife at the time, they go to this party and they do LSD, and they're laying down and like they have this heart to heart, and he's a forever changed character from that moment.
Right.
Like he's more loving and more open.
Yeah,
But I'm sure people back in the 60s and 70s.
But ayahuasca's different.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because ayahuasca will, like, I mean, because if you give LSD to, like, George W. Bush, I mean, he might have a transformative experience. He's
Probably
He
done.
will.
George Bush has probably done it.
Well, we know he's done cocaine. But if you do ayahuasca, like, ayahuasca calls you out on your shit. Like, you will be changed no matter what from that experience, and usually for the better.
And it's funny though, so many people are like, I'm gonna go do ayahuasca, they think it's gonna be like any other drug.
Oh, man.
And it's like,
No, you should be terrified before you do ayahuasca.
well, you don't want to be terrified, but
I don't know. It's good. They called the when you experience the soul of the earth in ancient initiation experiences, they called it the terrible beauty. The terrible beauty.
I think people should just go into it thinking it's like any other thing. Like my buddy one time, like he needed to go to rehab. Like he needed to go, but he wouldn't go. He just wanted to do drugs. So I'm like, I got drug free. Want to do some mushrooms?
That's good. That's sneaky.
And he was just like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, you got mushrooms? Do them. I'm like, yeah, all right, let's do them. We did them. And he just it was tea. He just sat there and he's thinking for a while. He'd been in this horrible rut for months.
Wow.
Week later in rehab.
No way. Good for you, dude. That's awesome. And that's why if these things can get integrated into our healthcare system,
I think it's happening. Like MAPS, we've talked about it a few times.
Yeah.
Like they're in this. I think they're stage 3 for the MDMA
Yeah.
trials, and it's like 1 5-hour MDMA therapy session is equal to 5 years of therapy. Is what they're starting to figure out. Like imagine the fast tracking of things like PTSD,
Can I
anxiety,
tell
depression.
you a vision I have? So I really hope to one day get involved in politics. 'Cause I think that game is going to open up for creators.
You know,
like
we'll be
us.
in the golden age when someone with your hairstyle can be a politician.
Hold the mic back.
It's happening.
3 inches is this much, right?
Yeah, do it.
That much?
Like, yeah.
I was making like a dick joke. Like 3 inches is this much, this much.
Don't bring it to your face.
Okay, that much.
Because we gotta practice.
We're practicing. Okay, so
So this was kind of like a TV show idea too. But imagine a TV show. I'll lay this out, and it's like a SWAT, or like Navy SEALs. They're in like a jet, you know, and they're like really tense, and they're about to be parachuted down on like a mission, you know. And they get parachuted out. It's like guys and girls, like this whole like awesome X-Force kind of team, and they're parachuted out. And it's like some tyrant somewhere in the world, like someone they're trying to take out. And they get taken out, they land, and maybe they all know martial arts. That's some cool aspect. But they're all like healers. So one's like a Reiki healer, one's like the ayahuasca shaman. And they basically like are sent as agents of transformation to go and like, instead of like taking out like the North Korean leader or whatever with bombs, you know, we send the transformative people
they
with like
dose
a
him.
wicked sound system and like MDMA.
Call him
and
to be
they,
the
like-
mushroom guy.
Can you imagine? Like that's how we like.
Do you see his tattoos?
Nice. Have you heard my song Mushroom Jesus?
I actually listened to it in the shower after taking a microdose psilocybin.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
My vagina's getting high.
I
fun
like the
song.
end the most.
Yeah, that's why I pull it all together.
You were like, got a little high, but got a little high at the beginning there.
If you guys are interested, Mushroom Jesus is on SoundCloud. You can listen
Yeah,
to it.
Darren Austin
Can we
Hall.
play a little bit of that?
All right.
No?
But can you imagine, like, because remember when Rob Ford was like outed as being a crackhead and stuff? Like that was horrible. I felt so bad for the guy. I was like, here's a guy who's struggling big time with an addiction to a drug, and he has to do this out on like radio shows, and people are making fun of him.
Not even just
was
Toronto. He went
horrible.
like viral.
Dude,
He got
I
pulled
know.
on the Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, it was horrible. I wanted to just like, we need to kidnap him and give him ayahuasca and like save this man's life. And sadly, he died like a year or two later from like colon cancer.
Heart attack, yeah,
That's how
cool.
I feel about mushrooms.
Oh,
Some people just like need them.
But mushrooms, I think, are next in the medical.
I think so too. And MDMA, dude.
Yeah, MDMA is like on its like.
I have a doctor friend in Colorado. He literally works with PTSD soldiers. You know, and he's like, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. Like cures of trauma.
Well, it came out. MDMA originally was a therapy.
right, yeah.
It's just then
So it's
people
made
took
for
it and they're like, wow, I feel amazing. This is awesome. Let's
The
go
authorities
party.
like, we better cut this.
Well,
down.
look at all the drugs that have been. Okay, so
Oh, it's
marijuana,
ridiculous.
enlightenment,
It's
mushrooms,
ridiculous.
enlightenment, LSD, enlightenment, DMT, enlightenment. Even ketamine is being shown for some people.
Yep.
And it's like what and
This goes back deep. You know the first "Don't Do Drugs" commercial?
with what's her name?
Garden of Eden story. That was the first "Don't Do Drugs" commercial. I'm telling you, man. I'm actually writing a short story now, retelling that story called "The Rise of Eve."
I say to people all the time, like they didn't have Facebook and all this stuff back then to control.
Do you think the Apple was like?
They only had books.
Okay,
That's all they had
let me
to control people.
totally and you know Terrence McKenna.
Yeah.
So he has this whole view that our consciousness has evolved through basically working with plant medicines, right? So they're our allies. They're like our teachers. And I think he's even tracked it down to a science through anthropology. Be like, yeah, this Neanderthal jumped up in consciousness because they came across this like patch of magic mushrooms in this region and stuff. So imagine if Eve was like this badass tantric yogi, because back in the ancient world, the women were the teachers, right? She's like meditating with Adam, and then she goes out to the forest, and she's like, I gotta go do my own thing. She goes meditates. And the serpent was revered in the ancient world. It wasn't like the tempting
That was
evil
health
thing.
and yeah.
It was Kundalini. It was like this amazing wise serpent, right? So she does some breath work. Her Kundalini rises, and her Kundalini basically internalizes his teaching to her and says, "Hey, Eve, you just happen to be sitting under a blessed tree that has this apple that's a psychedelic fruit." Because it wasn't an apple; it was a quince in the ancient book. You need to eat this apple and receive gnosis. Gnosis. Know as the gods know, because that's every human's birthright. You need to know about good and evil and how the non-dual state, and all that.
I didn't even think about the snake and
So then
Kundalini.
she eats the apple and she trips out. She has this amazing upgrade, and then I imagine she probably went back and told Adam, "You better eat this fruit because I've evolved, and if you don't, I'm gonna have to leave you behind." That's probably how it went down. And then the authorities at the time were like, this, like Gnosis, the Gnostics are the most persecuted of all the mystics of the world. I mean, Gnostic is just every religion has had a mystical branch. And the mystics have always been Kabbalah, Sufis,
yeah.
And they literally called them
Rastafarians,
Gnostics in Christianity. But Gnosticism is a much broader term.
It would just incorporate all of them?
It just means knowing God directly. You don't need a priest. You don't need a priestess. You are the priest. You are the priestess. That's what Gnosticism is saying. And that's what all the mystics were saying, that they went rogue. They were like, Rumi's sitting in, the mosque. He's like, no, I want to go out and whirl and like have my own experience, and that's what the mystics were doing. And the beautiful thing about our age is we're all being initiated into this gnosis right now, which is amazing. And that's why the powers that be are becoming the powers that were on this planet, because all their mind control programs. I mean, this was in ancient scripture of the Nag Hammadi library. Like literally the goddess Sophia, who's like the planet Earth, at some point says to like the head Archon, who's this like extraterrestrial predator who's been controlling humanity. She basically says to this high lord, like, there's going to come a time when humanity's going to wake up and like your thousands and thousands of years of diabolical mind control, it's going to be wiped out in like an instant. Because that's when the human soul is liberated, we are like so powerful. We're gods. I mean, Jesus even said in the Bible, it's like, you're gods. You're going to do things that greater than I have done. He says that.
Yeah.
Well, we can like think about all the stuff we can create.
Well, and all
It's
the like
like-
superpowers, like yogis, like the Yoga Sutras, the Bible of yoga. Chapter 4 is literally called How to Develop Superpowers. It's about sixth sense and like astral projection. I mean, all of this stuff is esoteric stuff that we
Have
can
you
all
ever
do.
experienced anything like that?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I've done an astral traveling course. I've done some astral traveling in my life.
Yeah, I've done that.
It's freaky shit, though, eh?
Yeah.
Every time I get close to like an astral dream, I get super anxiety and I
Yeah.
almost get ripped back in.
Yeah.
I've never had it in a dream. I've just gone and done it because there's like ways to do it, like while you're awake.
There's a meditation.
You're supposed to like wake
Yeah.
up. What's the guy Bob Monroe or something?
Oh yeah, the Monroe Institute.
Yeah, he's like, you wake up you got to go to bed and then you wake up between 1 and 3 in the morning, and then there's something about you being in that state.
That I feel. Actually, I shouldn't even get into that. But I feel like that's akin to what you were saying about the music, the nowadays music.
No, Bob Monroe's from a while ago.
Because that's like how a while ago.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
Those are the witch
To
things.
tie this in together with the now, like the well.
Wait, I'm
to
gonna go
sound-
pee while you guys do this because this
This
podcast
is the
isn't
thing? You
stopping.
can take a pee.
Yeah, why not?
This still happens on this podcast.
Yeah,
No, this is actually
the first time.
Try to make an excuse why that's happening. People can't hear my microphone, only they can hear yours, so I have to now come over here.
So we're just pausing.
Nope, it's going.
Oh, it's still rolling.
Yeah.
Are we Facebook living? Are people seeing this shit?
No. We're just on the cameras. But
Yeah. What were you saying about the music?
I don't know. That's reminiscent of the music because 1 and 3, like I know 3 a.m. That's like synonymous with some stuff. But I mean, I don't know. It's weird. But astral projection. Did you see the cord? There's
No,
people
the
talk
silver
about
cord. Yeah, they call it
Yeah.
the silver cord. Fuck, I don't know if I've seen. No, I don't know if I've seen the cord, but I have.
I've never looked.
I've flown to other planets, dude, and like
I
I remember looking back and seeing the Earth as a little dot and being like, "Oh shit, how am I gonna get?" And then I'm like back in my body in my bed.
yeah, Doctor Strange style.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you a very interesting story. The first time I actually heard about sound healing, the astrologer was actually the second time. The first time when I was living in China for 3 years, like I had a spiritual awakening in my last year of university, and then I was like, I gotta go to India. Like I just went, I went totally all in on spirituality for a year. I was working a desk job. I was just studying everything I get my hands on, and then I was like, I gotta get to India. I got a job teaching English in China, and I actually just stayed in China for 3 years because I think I had a past life. I just got so into China. But anyways, I had taken this astral traveling course before I left, and the teacher had said, and I was just like you, I was too freaked out. I do these meditations, I get close, they say you hear the sound of like your astral vessel unlocking. It's like this high pitched frequency. I'd freak out. I'm like, what the hell's gonna happen, And so, but the teacher said, now that you're aware of this, it may just start to spontaneously happen. You'll wake up in your dreams and have a lucid dream because you're aware. So I'm living in China, and I'm all of a sudden, I'm having this dream. I'm in this like white room, and there's a gray head alien in front of me. And all of a sudden, I go lucid. I'm like, oh man, I'm awake. And this gray-headed alien has these tuning forks on the table in front of me. And this alien starts to take the forks and then put them not even on my body, like in front of my field, and sort of and make them vibrate. They didn't hit it or something, it just started to vibrate. And I feel swells of energy move through my body. And I freak out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm being energetically like manipulated.
I'm being the anal probing.
Yeah. And then this being telepathically communicates to me and says, don't worry, we're healing your DNA. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Let's do that. Yeah, fine. And so for like 10 minutes or so, I just go through this experience, these vibrations. The uncanny thing is all of a sudden I wake up. It's like right when I'm supposed to wake up, like 8 a.m. on the dot. And I'm still vibrating for 10 minutes, dude. I just lie in bed, like just in awe. Just like, what the fuck? And then years later, I find sound healing, and now I actually use tuning forks in my one-on-one therapeutic practice. Crazy shit, man.
That's weird.
Is that weird?
Wow.
Holy shit.
It's so weird, our brain, like what that could be.
Like it.
Like what is that actually? Like did that actually happen? Is there is there some kind of realm that we
Totally,
got
dude.
accessed in? And he was just like, all
That's
right.
what I believe. I think it's like a layer.
I think it's just a
All
different.
these
It could
different
just be a different
dimensions.
dimension. Yeah, like that could be the
Different
6th or 7th or 8th or whatever.
Well, they say it's the fifth, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
And what's the 8th? What's in the 8th?
Well,
Gaia.
there's a great book
Gaia
called
spirit.
Alchemy of Nine Dimensions by Barbara Hancock. You should check that out. She goes through the 9 dimensions at least. Now they say there's even more. It's like,
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot more.
What did Carl Sagan? Oh yeah, he would use. Oh my.
You okay?
Yeah, just my flies.
flies undone.
Undone.
Jesus,
Take
man.
these away.
Mike.
You guys can see it off camera, but
So, the Merkaba.
Right.
Or we talk about like the flat Earth, the flat people. Did you ever see that video of him?
Flat Earth? Don't go there.
No. It was just a different dimension. Like he was like.
Right.
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 Anyways, Carl Sagan, he just used it as an example. Like if you had this Earth where everyone was flat,
Right.
and then like a circle like passed through it, you'd see parts of it while it's passing through.
Right.
But it's still in its own. You got to watch it. We'll post that
Cool.
clip. But Carl Sagan explains that a lot better.
Dude, there's so many, like, we are born to have mystical states. That's the other thing that I try to encourage with sound healing, you know, is like when people come and experience a sound bath, the crystal bowls put your brainwaves into alpha state, like instantly. And I actually did an episode with Vice TV on, they came and filmed me doing this, and we had like medical technology hooked up to some clients.
Really?
Yeah, it's coming out soon. It's called Mr. Tachyon. It's the show that they've made.
Oh, yeah. That's a Director X's show.
Director X show, yeah. So they did an episode on sound healing. I'm one of the guys. They filmed a few other people, and it was amazing, dude. Like immediately, like I had only read about this theoretically, but to actually witness the minute the bulls start being played, people's brainwaves go into alpha.
I want to do it like right now.
Yeah, because we're always in beta. Well, I have bulls are in my car downstairs. I should have brought one up.
Wow.
Maybe.
Okay.
Can we do it on the podcast?
I don't know what will happen.
It might override things, but
Yeah, that's the thing.
We could see
these
later.
These are all frequencies.
yeah,
Like I can't take this mic and bring it. We can't bring all these mics together,
right.
or else a bad sound will happen in all our ears.
Can we?
We can
We'll just
try
do it.
it, yeah.
We can do it off camera.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
but shit. What was I talking about?
Vice TV, Mr. X.
So the alpha brainwave states happen. Now, alpha is like light meditation. We're always in beta. Beta is like mental, discursive thinking, monkey mind. So when you go down to alpha, it's like you first start to relax and you're entering into like the first phase of meditation. Now, what's amazing about that is that once you get into alpha, it's like a jump off point into like theta and then delta, which are deeper states. When you can go into theta, you start to have visions and hallucinations. And every human being, as a native elder once told me, is an oracle. We are all oracles. And it's one of the most powerful things to acknowledge that you can receive visions that will guide your life, that will guide you through any adversity you're going through in your life. But we need to initiate that mystical contact.
And I think honestly, even with when you go to bed, because of Wi-Fi, blue lights,
Right.
all this stuff, we can't even get into that state as much anymore.
It's totally true. Yeah. I mean, there's a Buddhist monks who have said, you know, when they come into major cities, they can't get to the deep states of meditation because there's just so much. Yeah, because the radiation levels are so intense.
Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I started meditating and I got to like 5 years straight of like meditating every day, like
get sensitive.
Yeah, like I'd be like in the basement because I was at my mom's place. And I'd be in the basement. I'd be like, "Fuck, what is that?" And I'd have to like go upstairs and be like, "Oh, all this shit's on." I have to like turn it all off.
Dude, Mono Cliffs.
Very weird.
I'm telling you, I go there. It's only an hour and a half away, but you feel so. You can see the stars. There's nothing around. Your cell phone doesn't work.
Mono Cliffs.
It's a park, and it's like near Orangeville.
Really?
But like, there's no cell phone reception. There's just this parking lot. There, you go 5 minutes out of the park, or you go a minute out of the parking lot. There's cell phone reception.
Is it cool? You recommend it?
Yeah, I'd go right now. What time is it? You can see the stars.
go, man.
You see the stars better than I ever see the stars.
Whoa.
Other than in the desert in Israel.
Is there a lot of people that go?
No,
tonight?
I was there. Last time I went, I was like, I really want to see the stars, and I go there. I get there. I'm in the parking lot by myself. Car pulls up. Guy opens up a thing, pulls out this $4,000 telescope, and he starts looking at the stars.
Whoa.
So, yeah, that it's.
Did you befriend him? Were you like, man?
Yeah, I was
look at
talking to
your
him.
telescope?
He's.
Did you say like, that's a very beautiful telescope you have?
I just went up to him like, can I see the stars in your telescope? He's like, yeah.
Nice.
He was like a little bit autistic in a way, like he knew everything about all the stars.
Oh,
And then he started
so
talking about this
mad
book
genius.
called.
How dare you? He's gonna watch this and be like,
He is
"What the
actually.
fuck?"
He's gonna listen to it because I told him the name of the podcast. But he was telling me a book like Rule of One,
Law of One.
Law of One.
Ooh.
And he
this
started
guy's
talking to me
onto
about
stuff.
that book.
That's a great book.
And then he started talking about aliens, and then
Oh man.
so
Rabbit
we
hole.
got lost in conversation for a bit.
Nice.
Oh, can I just ask something? With theta, do you know any ways to get there?
Well, you can get what are called brainwave tuning forks now, because if you just knock two forks and they're two different frequencies, if the space between the frequencies is like 4 hertz, then it creates like a binaural beat, and that will actually start to bring your brain into that brainwave state.
So talking about binaural beats, because that's actually what I was gonna get to. I did this like frequency training. These like beats that I was listening to. I did it for about like 4 years, like straight.
Whoa.
Yeah, like if like we were like at dinner, I'd be listening to them. Like if we were talking, I'd be listening to them, and like I just learned how to just like navigate like while it was all going on, and I always geared myself towards theta, being in theta states.
Wow.
So I was always very lucid and like.
That's amazing. That's
borderline crazy to a lot of
that is kind of crazy. Wow, that's cool.
I just heard an interesting theory where
That's very cool.
schizophrenic people are really just tuned to a different dimension,
Oh, they're shamans basically.
and they don't know how to control it. No one's
Yeah.
guided them on how to control it.
It's ADHD. It's just someone who's better equipped for this world than someone who doesn't have ADHD.
And they try to numb you.
They can handle all this.
I'm so happy for my doctor. I got diagnosed with ADD, and they wanted to put me on Ritalin, or like the path would be on Ritalin. My doctor told my mom, it's like, let him just see how he does. Don't do it.
They should be drugging the education system. That's the real problem.
They should get the
that thing needs to be changed.
They need the kindergarten program. Have you heard of this?
No, what's that?
Have you heard of the kindergartens?
Kindergarten.
They want to equip kindergarten students with guns to protect against shooters.
Kids? That's the stupidest idea in the world.
You didn't watch the video? The Sacha Baron Cohen one.
Oh. So it's like a joke.
It's a joke, yeah. No,
Oh,
right.
nice. Good. Phew, I was like worried there for a second.
I'm letting you sit with it. This is what happens. Okay.
What, when I ADD?
So this is great. Dead air. That's all you.
Oh, there's no
Pick it
dead
up.
air. Okay,
Okay.
so, yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen. So Colin has an interesting challenge for me. And Darren, I hope you don't mind we do this. He doesn't think I could, like, talk for hours without having dead air. But I think I can.
No, that was just like you got to know what you're saying. If you're gonna bring up something, you have to know.
I know. I was holding back the laughter. Sacha Baron Cohen has a new show called We Are America or
I've heard
something.
about it, yeah.
Here we go.
And it is so ridiculously funny. He's 3 characters. This Israeli Mossad guy, this like fat redneck guy on like a scooter, and I can't remember the third character. But he interviewed Bernie Sanders, and then as this Mossad guy, he's
Did he dupe Bernie? Did Bernie?
yeah, Bernie fell for it.
Oh wow. Amazing.
I don't know if Colin's laughing at me or with me.
I love that you're just willing to like you just like tell that joke. You're just like fuck it, like it's good. You're free.
Yeah, whatever. So
He's just like fuck it.
yeah, I think, man, like, I would love one day for us to understand sounds. I can't remember the frequency, but years ago, this guy Gino,
Oh,
432 frequency, I think.
Yes, that's actually. I was gonna actually ask you about that.
432.
People say that our music, like all music, all songs,
Right, right.
like everything they put out to us, is in a bad frequency. I
Yeah.
don't know what the frequency is.
Yeah, it's the 432 440 debate.
And people say that there's a better frequency to play songs.
Yeah, 440 is the standard tuning that we've had since early 20th century, and then they say 432 is more mathematically harmonic.
Okay.
And so now there's this whole debate, but to be honest, like I don't like to go there too much because it's turned into a real conflict. Like I've met people who are like, one guy wouldn't even come to my sound bath because he's like, oh, you have 440 bulls? Like, I don't want to.
Did you have 440 bulls?
I do have 440 bulls because at the time I didn't even know about 432. But even if I did know about 432, like I just bought a crystal harp made out of crystal, and that I did.
A harp?
Yeah.
Like a harp?
No, it's actually, they call it a crystal lyre, but it's literally like 8 tubes, crystal tubes. It's amazing. Now I got that in 432, but that's more just I want to have variation, you know. But there's this the dilemma about it is that it's just creating this schism, you know, where people are becoming like puritanical about it. And I just think if 440 was, and there's a lot of misinformation too. Like there's this theory that the Nazis created 440. Not true at all. There's this theory that Mozart made all his songs in 432. Not true at all. Like there's actually only one historical evidence of anyone using 432 in any tuning. It was this composer Verdi, and he only used it in one composition because it felt right for the singers. But there is like mathematics that makes sense. Like it lines up very harmonically with math, and that can be very deep and profound when you look into that side of it. So there might be something to it. I think this debate that's happening between 440 and 432, it's not helpful, and it's creating a lot of schism. And if 440 was this satanically created mind control thing, I mean, you would think that like, you know, people would be, you know, not enjoying music at all, or have like there's a lot of positive benefits people have with 440 music as well as 432, you know. So I don't know if we magically, it's a bit of the magic pill thing, you know. It's like if we magically everything's all in 432, is like all of a sudden we could just gonna ascend to like a higher dimension or something.
Yeah, I always wondered.
I don't know.
The whole reason I did that brainwave frequency thing is because I wanted to stop listening to hip hop. I was like, I started getting into subconscious, and I was like, oh, it's always on, and it takes in everything. So even if like it's a mumble rapper, your subconscious is still taking in what he's saying.
Right,
you
right.
don't understand. And like I listen to those songs on repeat. They're saying certain phrase. Like I just.
Oh
I
yeah,
just
no,
stepped
you
away
gotta
from it.
be.
I was like, I have to step away from it.
Yeah, man, people should be careful what they're listening to. I mean, that's something I try and engender to people through the training and stuff, is like, be responsible with your ears, you know? Like music is like, it's medicine. So, and you can be really responsible in terms of like, hey, I'm depressed, you know? Well, if you're depressed, like, do you want to listen to sad music to help you maybe go into the depression and get the grief out? Or maybe you want to change it and listen to some
upbeat
Rasta, like Bob Marley. You can't be depressed listening to Bob Marley. You know, and that's just like two choices. Not one is better than the other, but it just shows you can choose music that can help you transform your state, take your state deeper. And that is just like, to me, I have a lot of fun when I choose my music, you know, because I think that way. It's like I'm choosing a prescription, you know, and that can be really, really
That's a cool way
amazing.
of looking at it. Maybe that, because I've been gravitating more and more towards like house, not a real lot of music, or no lyrics, just like calm melody that plays in the background. They take you places almost, right?
Right.
Because yeah, like I can't.
Well, that's why dance music's so huge right now,
No.
because it's tribal. It's a tribal rhythm. It's shamanic.
There's one I got to send to you. Actually,
Yeah.
I'll send it to both of you. It's called "The Sounds of the Mystics." It's like an 1.5-hour track, but it's
cool.
it takes you places.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you like play for us a little bit
Yeah, man.
if you're open to it.
Yeah, I'm open to it. I'm open to it.
Yeah. So
what else?
you got your teaching. You got your new CD. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Songs of Source.
So what's the inspiration for that one?
So Songs of Source is my 4th album, and so I've released, my first album was Crystal Hymns, which is also Crystal Bowls of Voice, but that was 2012, different time. didn't. Yeah, my voice has grown a lot, and then I did Tantra of Truth 2013, which is shamanic pop music, and then I released a little mini album called The Death of Love, which is that album's interesting because it's 4 tracks, and the title track Death of Love, literally, I had my heart broken, and I was supposed to record with the woman in the studio the next day. We were recording together, and I was like, okay, well, this isn't gonna happen. So I called my producer, and he said, well, you're feeling raw. Why don't you come in and we can use it? You know, do something with it. So I literally walked in the studio, picked up my guitar, and just said hit record, and like in one take, lyrics and all, this 5.5-minute song came out, like perfect. And I don't say like, and that's a moment of really tapping into the muses, and you realize listening to it afterwards, like I can't recreate that moment. It's like so humbling.
So you can't play that one live?
I have played it live for sure. Now I've like gone in and done it again, but yeah, I shouldn't say I can't recreate it, but I'm just in awe of just listening to that and knowing that all those lyrics and stuff, like holy crap, you really feel your divine guidance in those moments. Like it's profound, because I just stepped out of the way. And all my producer did was hit record and then put a slide guitar on it and like a bit of keyboard. But it's like, it's pretty crazy. And then, yeah, my new album is Songs of Source. This one has been, you know, a few years in the making. And it's basically, I want to make a crystal bowl and shamanic singing album that was like on a bigger level, bigger, grander statement. So it's 7 tracks. Each track is like a song prayer. There's a different intention. Each one, there's a little booklet with a CD. And, you know, if you want to dive in that way, you can even like read which one you want to really connect with. But it's just, I really wanted to really record a nice album with the bowls, capture them well, and give people a sense of this music, you know, which is really, I think, has a lot of potential to really reach a lot of people and help transform their lives and help bring them into healing states and such. And people have been giving me great feedback from
Yeah, that one song you played, I loved it. I have the CD, whatever you played when we did the sound bathing.
Oh, well, that wasn't a song.
Oh, that wasn't part of the album?
No, that was just, because that's the thing. The album they're all just channeled songs, so they're not anything I can necessarily recreate.
I've had a hard time playing the album for one reason. I don't have a CD player.
I didn't give you a digital coupon?
I don't know if I got one.
There should have been one in
the bag?
In your grab bag.
I gotta check.
Let me know. I can send you a copy.
Yeah, it'd be
send
cool.
you a digital code. Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it's on iTunes, Spotify, Bandcamp.
Oh, are you on Spotify?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'll just, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get paid when someone listens to it?
You get like minuscule little payments.
Like what, like a cent, 2 cents?
Like, a cent. It's like not much.
Yeah, they really don't make it lucrative.
But if you're like Drake and you're getting 300 million.
Even then, it's like, I mean, you're making more money than I would be, obviously. Like you're banking for sure.
But like you're not.
Even if you get a cent.
It's not like the old days, for sure. That's why concerts are so expensive now, because they have to make money in other ways.
Did you hear Steve Tyler and Joe Rogan though talk about that?
No.
He was talking about how like in the old days the managers would get them super fucked up, and then make them sign contracts basically like, yeah, you get 50% of this, and like a lot of money was lost. Like,
that's disgusting. That's fucked.
Because like he said one comment I think where it was like, yeah, I was in Hawaii and I saw this house and it was a beautiful house and I wanted the house. And Joe's like, why didn't you buy it? He's like, oh, I don't have that much money. And it's like, you're Steve Tyler. You're the lead singer of Aerosmith, like a rock god band.
Right.
And he started talking about how like they did get a lot of money taken away.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's doing okay. He's not.
Yeah, so many. I mean, look at Leonard Cohen, man. He got like embezzled by his manager, or his manager stole a bunch of his money.
Yeah.
So many horrible stories. Alanis Morissette.
She doesn't have any cash?
No, she has cash, but she got, I think she went through some stuff like that too.
I think they all go through it.
Well, yeah, you make a lot of money.
And
You start attracting people.
Kanye?
He kept all of his money.
I doubt it.
Or
Who
Jay-Z.
knows? I mean, you start to attract like your entourage, you know, and like who can you trust at that level? Yeah, it's a weird world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even Joe Rogan said he's like, yeah, we're gonna go with Spotify, but they were like not giving us any money, so it didn't make any sense.
Right.
He's like, we're not, you don't make any money with them, so.
Right.
That's so crazy though about what YouTube's doing to certain artists.
What are they doing?
If you have
Crowder, man.
Steven Crowder's one, but if you have if you're like a right-winged mind,
Oh, they
they like Alex Jones is down a ton of money. Joe Rogan's money got cut.
They just decided.
Yeah, they don't. They just do it.
Oh,
Jordan
man.
Peterson, that happened with him too.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. There, people have to wake up. There's a huge like push. Like it's kind of fascist, actually. What's happening?
I know. And it's like, what if I'm gonna watch a Jordan Peterson video? I want that company to advertise to me, so he gets paid. It's like,
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad, but I don't think it's gonna last. I think there's enough of a pushback.
that's why that shooting happened at YouTube.
What?
Do you remember that woman who went in and she brought a gun to YouTube?
Oh, really?
That was her motivation. She said, she's like, you guys cut my funding, and she's like, this is wrong, and
She's like, why am I not getting my level?
Wow.
Blah, and shit like
Wow.
that. Yeah, it's really bad, man.
That is really bad. I didn't realize that.
Steven Crowder even said, he's like at the end of one of his videos, he's like, imagine showing up to work after you do all your work and everything's done, and then the company just says they're not going to pay you. He's like, that's what happened to me. Bye.
Jeez. Well, that whole fake news thing is the same thing, right? Like, they just all of a sudden rolled out all of this fake news, and basically, it was like overnight, and it was all related to the Pizzagate thing, like all that pedophilia. Like the minute that stuff started to come out.
I never thought we'd say the phrase Pizzagate on this podcast.
Uh-oh.
But it's been said.
Oh,
It
no.
is out of the bag. Pizzagate.
what is Pizzagate?
No.
So, I mean,
Well, no, yeah.
or people call it pedogate.
Darren
People
will
call
be
it
explaining
pedogate.
it.
You can just go into the story. You don't have to go into
I mean, you don't have to like even like it's not even that like crazy to even think, but like there's clearly on very powerful levels in the world. There's a lot of problems with human and child trafficking. It's just there's huge issues. I mean, you look at the Vatican and the sexual abuse scandals that they're embroiled in. You look at the United Nations and Haiti and how they
Even apparently Manitoba's a hub.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge worldwide problem. So the whole Pizzagate thing, whether it's true or not, we don't know, but it's just basically like they were implicating certain people in the US government, right? So but what was interesting was that after all that came out, it was literally like within the month, I think, this whole fake news thing was rolled out, and it was overnight. It was like the whim of a few professors. Apparently they got together and they created a list of like hundreds of websites and media people that they just said were fake, and one of them were people I know, like Collective Evolution. I don't know if you know them, but they were on that list, and they were like, what? We were like, how are we fake news? Like no one even reached out to us to ask, or there was no like evaluation. It was just like, you're fake news, and thus all these like Google and sites are gonna all of a sudden start messing with your search engine stuff, and it was just really overnight, and it was like, I don't know, some people say that it was like connected to that.
Collective Evolution's out of Toronto too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So what's been interesting is that CNN recently wrote an editorial saying they regret the whole fake news thing, because now Donald Trump's kind of turned it back in their face, right? Which I thought was a really, even though he does some dubious stuff, that was a masterful turn of face, because I'm a media student. That's why I came out of a university. Like I studied media for 4 years. I literally was studying at the time, they call it disinformation. I had classes in disinformation, like conspiracies. I mean, it's real. Like the governments work in secret and they do weird secretive stuff.
That was the first episode of Black Mirror showing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember with the pig and
Yeah,
the
yeah. And so this stuff is going down. So when I started seeing Donald Trump calling CNN fake news and all these other people, MSNBC, I was like, yeah, they are. I mean, I wish he had also called Fox. Like they're all on a level fake news, right?
Well, there's a video on YouTube you can watch where they're like, we'll show you that the media has
I've
a
seen
message,
that, yeah.
and they clip like all these local news stations all
Yeah.
over the states, and it's like, what's this?
It's just funny that we were just talking about it.
Oh, I thought that was a monkey.
No, those aren't monkeys.
What is it?
Wow,
Just show it.
it's Eddie Bravo. Just like Colin, we were just talking about it. Colin went on Instagram. It's Eddie Bravo's showing like people.
Oh, I saw that video. It's terrifying.
I thought the first thing was a monkey, a baby, because it was the baby was walking a little weird. I didn't mean to laugh.
No, that's a big problem, man. Big problem. It's a big problem.
Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, that thing showed. It was creepy, man. That YouTube video. It was like all these locals, like, cause the States does that. They have like local news, like Fox local news, and they were all like identical scripts,
Oh yeah.
identical inflection.
Yeah.
Like,
people need to, you know, open their eyes. Like I think there's only like 1 or 2 companies in the States, or 3, and they own like majority of the media.
Yeah, who's one or there's one
Viacom, I think, and like I literally, when I was at university, we had to do flow charts where we had to look into where all their money flows, like something crazy, like 40% of the media's money flows right back into the military. So you wonder why, when there's a war, they're all like banging the drums and stuff. They're all working together.
Who warned against the military industrial complex? There was one of the presidents.
I think it was Eisenhower.
Yeah, when he was leaving.
Yeah, and then JFK warned against secret societies.
And then he got killed.
So it's like, whoa.
Shout out to Viacom, secret societies. What up?
Sony. Do we have any Sony parts? Isn't Sony and Viacom the same?
I am in support of our overlords.
Which
Unlike these 2 derelicts.
what cartoon is that where he says that?
What?
There's a cartoon where a character says that, like, I'm in support of our overlords. Don't take me out. So yeah, sound bathing. Back to sound bathing.
Love it. I'm
Can
a
you
Gemini,
sound?
Can you tell?
Can
go
you?
Every topic.
Can you sound shower?
Sound shower.
I know there's bathing, but can we just like spray it on us at little moments?
Yeah, why not? You can do sound. Maybe I should. You know what? You've given me an idea, because there's so many sound baths now. I gotta be unique, man. I should be like making a
sound rain.
Gotta be doing something different.
Sound
I should do
rain.
I should do sound rains.
Let me get a little sound hot tub.
Sound hot tub.
Why don't you do like
Sound showers.
We should do
Sound
like
tsunamis.
oh, you know what would be really cool? Going to like a beach in the middle of the night with like a fire and a bunch of people, and you doing this stuff like in the water.
Yeah, I've done it. It's awesome. Bowls in the water are great.
Yeah, because they vibrate even more.
If you put the crystal bowls in water, they float, and you can feel the vibrations in the water.
Oh, cool.
Because water is like
It's
the
us.
awesome. Yeah, it's us, and it's also just so receptive to vibrations. It's amazing. Yeah, water is amazing.
I never even thought of that.
So you do all these events in Toronto
And globally,
and globally.
I tour.
Yeah, you were on TEDx.
TEDx. Yeah.
TEDx, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, me and Alexandria.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man.
It was epic, dude. That was like that was a crazy experience, man. Cause like I don't know how we got in. First of all, how, like I don't know if you've ever been to TEDx,
No.
but it's like it's kind of. I mean, there's good speakers, but it's kind of like it's not radical. Yeah, it's a little stuffy. It's not super like they're innovative ideas, but they kind of toe a certain line, right? So we get in there, and like first of all, they put us on at 1 p.m. I'm all into like numbers stuff, like ooh, we're 1 p.m. That's when they put us on right after lunch, which was perfect, so we could set up, all the bowls. And I just knew this was going to be a big moment, because like crystal singing bowls, shamanic singing, like the mainstream hadn't seen it. So me and Alexandra, we knew that this was going to be a real opportunity for us to really showcase this. So, before we went out on stage, you get butterflies and stuff like that.
How many people were in the crowd?
Oh, it was like over 1,000 people. It was at Kerner Hall. Kerner Hall, one of the best acoustic spaces in the world. Like German symphonies fly there just to record.
What city is that in?
Here in Toronto.
Oh,
Kerner
really?
Hall. Yeah, it was downtown Toronto. So, when people get like all like stage fright and stuff like that, I tell people in my training, it's literally spirits tuning your body to be able to be big enough to carry the frequencies of charisma. And that changes the game for people. So,
because I was just saying how nervous I am for tomorrow.
So before you,
what we heard before in our last podcast about fear.
Yeah,
so you
John.
go into it, and how I go into it is I shake. So before we went out, we were like shaking, hoo ha ha, breathing, amplifying, getting your voice, and you just make yourself bigger energetically. And then we went out there, and like literally the first 5 or 7 minutes, I was just in the trance of like concentrating fully on singing and transmitting the most powerful vibrations through these bowls, because crystal amplifies your consciousness, right? So when you're playing the bowls, you've got to like think about what are you intending the whole freaking time you're playing them. So I'm just like fully vibrating love and peace to this audience. And after about 7 minutes, I sort of like have a moment of like self-awareness, and I literally could feel there's like giant orbs of light in the space, like floating high above, like angelic forces who are just like, we are here with you as well, and we are amplifying this like 1,000-fold so that people, so that the impact is maximized of this experience, because somehow these mystics have snuck into TEDx and they've given this experience where we are in the Trojan horse, and we get to just smash them with like something.
How do
very
people
shamanic.
respond?
it was insane. People were crying spontaneously. People were shaking. It was off the hook. Like literally, I came out of backstage into the hallway, and the first speaker of the day, she was in the audience. She comes running down the hallway. She's like, "Who are you? What was that? What were these balls? I felt my heart. Everything open. I need your card. What?" Like people were flipping, man. People were like, yeah, because a lot of those people, they were of the ilk of maybe not to have had that kind of experience, right? So it was like a captive audience of people who were just, ready or not ready to just be blown open. And the beautiful thing about the bowls and that music is like, it'll get you. Like you can't fight it, you know? You can't fight it, And sometimes when I play, I get those kind of visions of like the balls of light. Like every now and again, I'll have like crazy visions when I'm playing, like crazy shit, man. Like once I was playing for a yoga class. It was so weird this happened in a yoga class. I was playing for a Lululemon event, so it was like 200 people in this art studio actually, and it was just candlelit. It was a really cool event actually. I was playing with a friend of mine because I also have like an electronic side project, and I had this electronic producer, and we were doing this kind of ambient crystal bowl shamanic electronic music. And at the end of the yoga class, when they're in like their shavasana, like that's when we as musicians are able to go a little more full tilt because we have to keep it a bit subdued. So usually when they go in savasana, I ask the spirits like, okay, what's the intention that I should sing to this group? What do they need? Is it courage, hope? Something usually comes through. And I get this statement, sing for the tyrants. Like, sing for the tyrants. What? So I just start playing my bowls, start singing, and then I see this like vision appear of this like balcony. Okay, so it's like, so in this balcony, it's like George W. Bush, Henry Kissinger, Stephen Harper, a few other guys. And they're all just sitting there like with their arms folded, like kind of in this like resisting stance. And I'm like, okay, I got to sing to the tyrants. So I'm singing. And when I sing, I'm like really pouring out emotion and feeling. So I start to sing powerfully, and like they immediately start like gripping the bar of this balcony, and it's like G-forces hitting them. They're like resisting what I'm doing. And so the spirits are basically like, sing more feeling. So I'm like unleashing this like cosmic anthem. And at a certain point, they're like, and then something pops and they crack and they all weep. They're weeping. They're in so much pain.
How visual is this to you?
I can't explain it, man. It was super visual.
How did it feel when they started weeping?
It felt unbelievably amazing because it made me realize that the people in this world that we think are like evil, they're just misconstrued. They don't know what they've been traumatized in some way too. They're in pain too, but they wear this armor so that we don't see that. But when you really find that way, this is why I'm excited about things like ayahuasca, because ayahuasca is everywhere. It's got these people surrounded. They're surrounded by this stuff now. And at certain point, people like Trump, Harper, certain point, a friend of them is going to be like, hey, Steven, you've been depressed. I know some people down in Peru. Why don't you? I know people outside of Toronto. Why
I hope they legalize it here.
And then these people, I know billionaires who have drank ayahuasca, and it's changed their life. And then they're like, I want to use my money for good. So you can imagine what's happening on this planet, with those types of influencers having their minds blown up. And you've seen J.P. Spears. Mm-hmm. He has that one, the day after Trump drinks ayahuasca. You should see that skit. It's really, really good. I've never seen that. It's a good one.
He's fun. Have you seen his stuff?
No.
The redhead dude?
He has like the one video like what would happen if meat eaters acted like vegans?
No.
See his biohacking one.
Yeah.
That is...
He's coming to Toronto.
Or Buffalo. Is he coming to Toronto?
Yeah, for Archangel.
Oh, shit. I need to reach out to them.
June 8th.
I want to get in there.
Archangel?
Yeah, I want to play the Bulls.
I know them.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you think you could like do an invite or something?
Yeah, I'll see. Yeah, because we're going to be sponsoring an event with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'll see.
Because I've done invitations for Graham Hancock, Teal Swan.
Graham Hancock?
Yeah.
Have you met him?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, when he was in town with Collective Evolution, I reached out and said, hey, could I play the Bulls before he comes? Because it's a great thing to like have the crystal bowls tune the room, and I sing an invocation. It's a great way to start an event. Or even
they do have music. Every time Archangel does have music.
Like live music?
Yeah.
Cool.
They had Akon last year.
In Toronto?
Yeah.
They had Akon?
Akon.
Jesus.
He's done a lot of cool shit, actually.
He is in cool shit, yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Well, maybe it's time for a shamanic musician. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll talk to him. Yeah, I'll talk to him.
It's always time for
It is, truly, man. Hey, Nelly Furtado loves my shit, apparently.
Yeah, right.
She digs, Tantra.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
That'd be cool for her to sing while you were doing the bowls.
That would be a dream come true. I love her stuff, man.
Promiscuous girl.
Oh, man, have you heard her album? I think it's Folklore.
No.
She has last track on that album. She's singing to her child that is not yet born. God, what's it called? Childhood Dreams, I think.
Wow.
Dude, that's one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard.
What album is that one?
The second album. I think it's called Folklore.
Someone needs to remix Tupac's version of that song. Because Tupac has a song that says Unborn.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super,
That would be cool.
super epic.
So does Jay-Z. And so does Kanye West.
We should just merge them all into one song.
They have a song together about their kids.
And then they should sing a song later in life once their kids develop. They've seen who they really are.
I
And
would
sing a
love
song.
to see that because Kanye
to
West
them now.
talks about his as a son. He's like I'm not gonna let you be hated. I'm gonna make you love everybody and like don't be like me because like everybody hates me because of how I am. It's crazy.
I gotta give love to Kanye though. You know, like
He's him, man. He's him.
He's him, and like he's trying to show people that like, you know, we need to love each other right now, and we need to love what we hate in each other.
Mhm.
And like, there's a lot. This is why in American politics right now they're so screwed up because like you still have Democrats blaming all these rednecks, you know, who voted for Trump and making fun of them. Like Michelle Obama the other day was like, women who voted for Trump have something wrong with their head. It's like Anthony Bourdain, man, like that dude actually went down to the southern states and like hung out with Southerners, and he's like, these people are good people, man. They are good people. We got it all wrong. Like they're not rednecks, they're not stupid, and this divide's been created. You know,
it's a different time. A lot of people think like these guys don't have like cell phones and everything.
Yeah.
well, people
Like,
forget.
they're just in tune in.
And people forget it was actually the Republican Party that wanted to abolish slavery in America. It was actually Democrats who were fighting it. Like people forget that.
Wait, what was Abe Lincoln? Republican?
I don't know what Abe Lincoln was actually at the time. I don't remember all that, but yeah, because the Democrats were the wealthy ones. They were like really rich, and they wanted to maintain some of that. There's a lot about history that has just been totally flipped that we just don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a rabbit hole.
yeah, seriously.
I think you're gonna have to come back on here, and we're gonna have to go down more. Of
Yeah,
these
dude,
rabbit
that'd
holes.
be. I'd love to come back on. I'd love to come back on. That'd be great.
Yeah.
He secured the Republican Party
He was Republican.
nomination.
Abe Lincoln was Republican.
Yes.
I had no idea.
That's why a lot of the black leaders in the states are this movement of get off the Democratic plantation, because they're like, you know, and it's like even Obama when he was in power, there was that guy, what's his name, that really amazing black activist. He's an old guy. He's a doctor, Dr. Cornel West. When Obama was leaving office, and everyone was writing him these beautiful odes, Cornel West like eviscerated him in an editorial in like Chicago. He's just like, this guy sucked. He really didn't do anything for black people. He did stuff on an image level, like getting, you know, Common to come and rap in the White House, but like he still bailed out, you know, the bankers.
The big banks.
40 million people lost their homes. He still did, you know, he didn't really do a lot, you know, and he also persecuted 3 times more whistleblowers than George W. Bush. And to me, that's like the sign of how open is a government, you know.
I think the problem with Obama is that he's black, and everybody thought he'd be wild, and he turned everything upside down.
Right.
Like, what are you guys talking about? What's going on here?
Yeah.
I'm a millionaire like every other president.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh
I'm a
man.
millionaire.
What the hell are you guys talking about?
And on that note,
You're gonna end on that note.
no,
I hope not.
I was about to.
Don't do that. Not on horrible notes. If anything, end on a note about him.
I actually, you know how I want to end this podcast specifically? On a musical note.
What kind?
I don't know. You're the musician. I'd love to end on like you doing a cool little musical, like bam.
He's like, what?
He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Jordan.
He's like, I have no balls. I have my hand. He's like, are you talking about me slapping my knee?
No, I'm kidding. No, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, no, this was
This is a
super
lot of fun.
guys.
What do you got
You
going
guys-
on? Like in the next few
Yeah,
weeks
there we
and
go.
stuff?
There we
Yeah,
go.
that's a good
Thank
note
you,
to end.
thank
See why Colin's so good at this?
So my big thing moving forward is I've been slow launching this thing called Unity Collective,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about sacred activism. or spiritual activism for that matter, because I really feel spirituality has mass appeal, and it's not even just the appeal. I think it's a necessity that we start to work on the dimension of the spirit, you know? And just to demystify that, spirit is just another word for the unified field that connects everything in the universe together, you know? And so to be spiritual is just be interested in connection and to be, you know, undivided. And we need that right now. We're so freaking divided. So like things like meditation is how you get unified with yourself. And if you get unified, connected with yourself, you're going to tend to be a really good person. You're going to be stable. You're going to show up for others. We need these types of tools. So on that note, one of the things I've been doing is I'm doing free mass crystal bowl meditations in the city of Toronto right now.
Mm-hmm.
Once a month. We've been doing them at Trinity Bellwoods Park. And basically, I show up with a bunch of my bowls, and I have students down for my source residence training. And on average, we get about 80 people out with about 30 to 50 crystal singing bowls going at once. And it is like cosmic.
And the next
And
one's
we do
Sunday,
it for 30 minutes. It's this coming Sunday. We maybe
July 29th.
Yeah. It's all good. We're gonna
You
do
can't
it.
go?
We're gonna do it
No,
end of
no.
August too.
I have to
It's all
meet-
good.
I have to meet Andy.
It's at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
We do it
Okay,
for
I'm
three.
gonna make up.
We do it for 30 minutes.
Just 'cause I want to see.
I might be able to come out to it.
Make sure you check on the Facebook page and say you're going, because I might actually change it to Kensington Market because they have pedestrian Sunday there.
I'll just text.
And
Oh,
sure.
at the, what's that?
We're
And-
VIP
and
now.
And they have that new park now. in
We're
Kensington.
VIP in your we're
You're
VIP in
You're
your circle now.
You're
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called like Bell something or.
Well,
Trinity-
Trinity Bellwoods is where I usually do it,
Kensington has like a little park in the back.
but they have a new
The
park.
new one. I was just there. I just did an interview there.
Oh, does it have a lot of space?
It was good enough for me. I want to start doing my interviews outside. And
Cause,
stuff.
but like 50, 80 people, crystal bowls.
Yeah, but like I mean, it's gonna take up a lot of room. But there is some patches. Yeah.
You would be a cool place to do it. I just don't know if you get kicked off. Up the stairs at Casa Loma, they have that nice park with the castle there.
Mm. Upstairs at Castle.
You go, there's these stairs, and then it's like a big greenery, and then right next door to the park backs onto Casa Loma.
No, they call them cops.
Oh, you mean the house beside Castle?
No, there's like in between the house beside Casa Loma and Casa Loma, there's that big green space
yeah, yeah.
with that beautiful view of the city.
Or even in the next house, Spadina House.
Yeah, yeah.
That one is open to the public. Could do it there.
In the house?
No, outside on the grounds. It's so beautiful. Actually, I'm gonna do it there. Not this time, but another time, because it's beautiful.
Better for me and you. It's a close walk.
That is. Thank you for that. Thank you. I've been actually wanting to do something. That's my favorite.
Or
green
Mono
space in the
Cliff.
city. That would be
Dude, in the
epic, too.
middle of the night with
Well,
all those
this is the
stars.
thing. I want to spark a thing where we do this everywhere. I want people to, because it's sonic smudging. Literally, crystal bowls cleanse the energy.
Let's do that
So
before the winter.
Sure, yeah. I want to start walking around the city with these.
The only thing,
things,
there's
you know?
coyotes.
There's coyotes there.
Yeah, and like that guy, he's like, yeah, I heard them. This is how I thought he was autistic. He's like, I heard the woo, and I'm like, okay, they're 500 meters away.
Do you have
And
to
then,
be careful? Can they like?
well,
attack?
they came up to 100 meters to him, and then he's like, yeah, I'm getting in my car and I'm going. But I think that I'm sure the sound would probably freak them out, right?
So because he said, I hear the woo, you determine that he's autistic.
No, because he was like, it was 500 meters, then I heard it was 400 meters, then I heard it was 300 meters and 200 meters. And it's not me saying it in a bad way, but you know how like people have that brain, like it was
Right,
all
right.
logic, no emotion, and he just.
Next time, you want to call someone autistic? Just call them logical.
I probably sound like an asshole now. I just
Of
realized.
course you do.
Some-
But it's okay.
So mass crystal ball meditation.
No, hold on. Let me clear my name right now.
Oh,
No. Don't worry. Listen, there's going to be other
You're all
times
good,
people
man.
Think you're an asshole. It's all right. Can't control what people think.
I didn't mean it in a
There's
bad
nothing
way.
wrong with being autistic.
No, I know.
Being autistic is actually amazing. They're like super hyper intelligent people.
Yeah, he
usually.
like on this. Like I'm a bit on the spectrum, but people. Are,
I think I'm a bit on the spectrum too. When I was young, that's what they thought I was.
Intent is everything. Don't clear your name. We're not going to be a part of that. Okay? We're ushering in a new phase. Intent is everything. Was your intent bad?
no,
Then you're okay.
I like that. That's cool.
but he just was anyway. So he just had this gift where he could like.
Oh,
He's
don't call it a gift now, jeez. Come on, don't do that. Don't backpedal.
no, I'm saying.
We
I'm.
go forward. This autistic guy was telling you stuff. Go ahead. Don't worry.
They could see my
We're
face.
giving you space. What do you need to say now?
Let's go to Monocliff and let's do
Okay,
the sound bowl.
I'm in, man. I want to go. I want to go to a lot of PowerPoints and do it. You know, because the bowls are so powerful, and we need to bring them out in the public. You know, we need more spiritual events where we use prayer and stuff to change the world. along with going out and protesting, that stuff's important too. But you know, that was Standing Rock. That whole thing with Standing Rock, it was prayer as protest. You know, let's use the power of our beings, our electromagnetic frequencies, to actually change the frequencies of the planet. So that's what these mass crystal bowl meditations are. And then I run a sound healing training. It's called Source Resonance. It's sound healing, vibrational philosophy, and sacred music. It's a 3-month training. I'm going to be launching that in the fall. And then I run an ecstatic dance called the Big Love, usually about once a month. And that's like a next level experience where we drink cacao.
That cacao was cool that you had.
Liberate our souls. Yeah, and I teach shaking medicine. And I also teach... I founded something on Facebook, a group called Conscious Masculinity Toronto.
That's perfect.
And I teach a 4-week program for men called Heroic Consciousness, a journey through the 4 archetypes of masculine empowerment: King, Warrior, Magician, Lover.
And where can guys find that?
So you go onto Facebook, Conscious Masculinity Toronto. It's there.
Facebook,
on my
Conscious
website.
Masculinity Toronto.
Yeah, and on my website, DarrenAustinHall.com, there's a Conscious Masculinity page where you can hear some of my talks. And I'm running that training this September at Temple 23, which is DuPont and Lansdowne area. And it's basically 4 weeks, 4 Wednesdays in a row. And we do some exercises, sexual qigong. We do some ball squeezing, like some things that like get your energy really vital.
Whose balls are we squeezing?
Your own balls.
Oh, okay,
You
all right.
squeeze
Dude,
your
we
own.
have no excuse not to go. That's right. You know where that is.
Yeah.
It's like 2 seconds away from here.
Yeah, man, it's epic. And dudes, working with the archetypes is super powerful. Really powerful. It's ancient. It's Jungian psychology, man. Really, really deep stuff.
How did we not talk about this for 2 hours? Jesus.
Oh, man.
He's coming back. He's coming back on.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk about that again. Because
Yeah,
it's
we
even
should.
called conscious masculinity, which is exactly what we're trying to achieve with this.
Hardy
podcast.
gentlemen.
Like,
Oh,
this is
shoot.
what this is about.
Oh.
It's about dispelling the myths of all this.
Well, we were
toxic
very
stuff.
unconscious masculines for the last little while, weren't we?
I didn't
No.
know you had that. I would have focused only on that.
Well, we could always just film part 2.
No, but this is why I'm interesting. You know, I do
Yeah,
all these
exactly.
things.
Got a
So
lot.
I need a part 2.
We will.
I take that as a compliment.
How late can you stay
Wow.
It's not
up?
everyone has
How
a
late
part
can you
2,
stay
right?
up?
How weird is
I can
that?
stay up late.
He needs
Why, you want to do a part 2 now?
I'm thinking that we say,
And we did this with
Brian, you guys are the same guy.
Did he have a part 2 as well?
Yeah.
Well, what we'll do is, guys, thank you very much for listening today. The powerful Darren Austin Hall is with us.
May
And
the source be with you.
and yeah, we'll post all of his stuff. And yeah, man, that was awesome.
That was so awesome, man.
Okay.
Thank you for having me, guys. That was beautiful.